Tell me about the best day of riding you've ever had. Cooper Webb.
Best day of riding I've ever had was actually probably on my bachelor party. Me and the boys went out and ripped a woods day all day. Had ourselves a grand old time, and we hydrated properly afterward.
Best day of riding I've ever had. That's a tough question because we spend a lot of time on the seat, but I'm going to change up the question a little bit, and we're going to talk about probably '07 Budds Creek. That would probably have been the best race. Most memorable, biggest, but also one of the races that came the easiest to me.
The best day of riding I ever had, it was probably, I want to say Budds Creek in 2018, that first moto. I was having so much fun. We got the whole shot. We just pulled away, and that's the moto I won my outdoor championship. So I think that was the best moto, I would say. Not whole day. So whole day, probably I was out with my buddies. We would always go to this place called Haspen Acres, and we would always put the GoPros on, and we would just kind of go out trail ride, and we would ride from it'd probably be like noon to dark, and then we'd go out to eat. So probably one of them times, just trail riding with buddies.
Best days of riding, High Point. High Point was sick for me. And I always gel with that track when I'm there, so High Point 2021 was pretty sick for me. But this year I feel like I've had some tracks, I haven't had the starts to show, but I've had some tracks where I felt like I'll be really good coming forward. So it'll be good, and looking forward to next year.
Is it just that everything clicked on those days and felt natural?
Well, for me, 2021 High Point is just a day where I had two solid starts, and I got to be up front and kind of just ride how I want to ride. So that's why I say those days, because it's not many races for me where I've had two good starts and been able to just have a free track. So that's why that comes to mind. But I mean, even Budds Creek this year, I got a good start, a whole shot, and I battled Jay Coop and Hunter Lawrence. Those guys were 1 and 2 in the championship then. So I feel like any day I get two good starts is like a fun day for me.
Oh man, I've had lots of good ones, so I wouldn't say there's one. The beginning of this year, I went out to the desert, and typically the desert is dry, and it had rained, and my kid, Dalton, a friend of mine, Tim, and myself went out, and it was unreal. Probably the best conditions of the desert that I've ever had. So that one sticks in my head.
Yeah, I want to say it's Budds Creek 2019.
You're the third person that said a Budds Creek race.
I went 1-1, and I don't necessarily know that I felt the best on the bike that day, but everything worked out that day. It was kind of weird. Everything came together. I missed my alarm that morning, and missed the riders meeting that morning, and so was kind of wide open to the track, and didn't get a clean lap in qualifying. I felt good on the track, but I qualified 18th because I just didn't put a fast time in, and had two good starts and ended up winning both motos. So it was like, wow, okay.
Best day of riding, I'd say, was going out to Nuevo with my buddy Josh Grant. We went out there. It was a long time ago. I had to have been probably 15, I'd say, and we just took our bikes out. I rode his bike. It was a fun day.
The best day of riding I've ever had. Gosh, that's hard. I feel like there's so many, but they come so not very often. But then through all the years, it's a lot of times I remember there's just those days where you just can't do something wrong. Man, I'd probably say the best one's probably Bercy, Paris, 2011 when I won. That whole weekend, I just felt like I was super prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. I just put the bike where I wanted it to, had a good mindset like I said, good mindset and good physically on the bike, and just everything clicked all together. And that was over 3 days. So a lot of times you only have that happen for a moto, and I really had that for a whole weekend in Paris. So that was awesome.
Best day of riding, let's say, I don't know. Any day where I'm out with the boys, we can have some Coors Lights, enjoy just sitting on the back of the tailgate. I don't know, I just any day where it's just like a chill day with the boys going riding where nothing matters, and I go ride with my friends that suck at riding dirt bikes, and it's just a good time. But one of the best days was Cooper Webb's bachelor party. We had a good day riding, so just trail riding, and yeah, had some beers, got a little tuned up, rode some dirt bikes. It was a good time.
That was his answer, actually.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, rad.
Charlotte 2 weeks ago.
What was so great about
Took third, my first pro podium.
it? So that's better than any day of just free riding anywhere. That was it.
I don't know, that feeling is pretty good. I think maybe a couple days with my buddies out in the hills when it rained, but that was a pretty surreal feeling.
So the best day of riding ever for me is a lot, because when it rains in the high des, it's the best day ever. So when we have rain in Southern California, I ride from my garage and I do motos with my kid, and that's the best day ever. Kenny Day?
Genuinely, my best day ever of riding with him.
Oh,
And
the high des.
And the high des. Like last year,
Yes.
yeah, you let me ride a blue bike.
And the Ripper, we had the Ripper.
Yeah, I was just holding on for dear life, like literally so tired,
But
but
you-
I didn't want to stop. That was,
video you being tired and use that later.
no, we were testing.
See, this is the problem with you, Darkside, is you don't come on the confidential days. You come on the open days
Yeah.
where social media is allowed. So maybe you should try some confidential days.